Welcome to Bigfoot Society. If you have Bigfoot activity to report from the same areas discussed in this episode, please reach out to me directly after this episode. And if you'd like to be on the podcast to discuss a personal Bigfoot encounter, please reach out to me directly at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Do you wish there was more Bigfoot Society to listen to every week? Well, there is now. If you become a supporting member over at Patreon, you get a special members-only episode every single week on Wednesdays, and sometimes even more episodes. Head on over to patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. And now let's get on with the show. You were saying you've had, so the close-up encounters that we talked about last time, those affect you pretty extremely, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's real hard. Let me see. Yeah, because, I know there's good and bad and everything. And, we're humans. And I know that what I've seen in Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever, I don't know what it is. I've not ever really had that big a fear. I mean, I have the fear of, like, you need to leave or whatever, or to take precaution or whatever. And I mean, there's been many a times they've probably been right by me awful close. They probably could have took me, and they never did. But when it comes to the other things that I've seen, like the Dogman / werewolf, what I seen in that, and I've seen them with the amber eyes, kind of like amber, pure white eyes, almost like let's say that, like if you find a crystal clear stone, like let's say quartz or something, it's real clear, you can see through it, and add a little bit of opal white to it. And I've seen them with eyes like that, and then I've seen them with their eyes turned deep red. And I know they're around here, and there's a pretty good sized park down the road, and they built a dog park, and which was it's good for the animals and stuff, but I think it was a big mistake. I think it went into like a lot of their habitat. And I know another lady that lives not far from here, lives closer to the park where those woods and stuff are down there. And she come up one morning early, and she was like, do you know what this is? And she showed me the pictures and stuff. And I said, oh my gosh, where did you get those? And she said, well, the apartments across the street, the ladies went out to go to work early in the morning, and those footprints and stuff was at their front door and their back door. And the girl on the corner said, because she lived closest to the woods, and see all them woods, once they built that dog park back there, it's still woods, but it's pretty good size, but it's all kind of goes into the woods. And anyway, I've had an encounter there down in those woods. But I told him, I said, well, it's not Bigfoot. And the foot is a lot more, it's big, it's a pretty good size print, but not as big as Bigfoot's. But you can tell, that it's a canine, and it was only on 2 legs.
Sorry, this is in southern Indiana still, correct?
Yeah, this is all in southern Indiana, yep.
Okay.
Yep, southern Indiana in greater Clark County. Now, some of it's been Floyd County. Let's just put it this way. Floyd County, Harrison County, and Clark County. And what I'm talking about, all this stuff has happened in greater Clark County, like out in the country, and kind of town / rural, because once you get in this little town, it's kind of really small. So once you take a left or right, you end up out on, because the Clark County State Park and all that stuff, Henryville State Park, all them are right down the road. Like, I think the Clark County State Forestry is probably maybe a mile and a half, and then Henryville is probably about 5 or 6 miles. But still, it covers, there's a lot of acreage out here, and there's hills and valleys, lots of lakes, lots of creeks and streams, lots of springs and stuff like that.
And how long ago did this happen when you said you had this encounter with, you said a dogman?
Yeah, well, let me think. This is August, October. So October was, and I can't give you the exact date. I mean, I have, like, I try to forget what I've seen, but it's like you can't unsee it. You know, you can't, you try to make sense of it. I'm usually not afraid of anything, but that scared me so bad. It had to be at least 8 or 9 feet tall. And see, when I was out in the woods before, I seen it up close. I seen it far away. And then I had my camera with me and I zoomed in on it. Okay, and it went up to like 30 times zoom. So I could see it pretty good. And at first I thought it was like because I love taking pictures and I love to draw and stuff like that. So I do a lot of scenery. And I just like being in nature. And it's really messed up, me living in the country. All I could do was pray, you know. And I don't mean to get emotional, but it's been
There's some listeners that may recognize Candace's voice. We had just talked not too long ago. Is actually, I believe it was in October, is episode 590, if you want to go back and listen to that as well. But things have been continuing to happen in the area where Candace is at, it sounds like.
Yeah. Not so much as of right now or bad right where I'm at, because I got away from where I was, and I had to, because it was coming up to my window, my bedroom window and stuff. And I don't know what it is, but it's been this way pretty much all my life, or at least till, you know, I can remember. But it's like I know that I know, and I know when they're around. You know, I don't know if it's because when I was a little girl, you know, and I would go into the woods and stuff and play and all that, I know they were there, you know, from when I was 10 years old and I seen that one with my dad. And I don't know, you know, it's like if they really wanted to take the ones that were around there, I don't know if they were used to humans, because I feel like, you know, I've had the mind speak, what they call it, or what I've tried to do a lot of research, and I listen to a lot of people, and I listen to a lot of other people's experiences, and you've had other guests on your show, and it's like I can relate to them, you know, or man, they're describing the same thing I've seen. And I was watching like a documentary on everything, and this man showed these pictures, and it's like I seen the exact same thing that he did. It looked, I mean, the nose and everything, like the face, except for it didn't have like a conical shaped head. Its head was round. Okay, and you know, that's like with the Bigfoot and stuff. And then I have had a lot of experiences with like white orbs. Like if I go back out to where I was staying and I just go out there, as soon as I get there, and because the driveway, you kind of got to drive a little bit through the wooded area. It's all wooded through there. But I can park, and as soon as I get out of my vehicle, within 5 minutes, you'll start hearing knocks and you'll hear a whoop, whoop. You know, it's almost like they're saying, hey, she's back. You know, it just makes you feel that way. And I don't really feel threatened from them. But I feel like the other stuff, yes. The other stuff is a threat.
What is the stuff that is a threat?
The werewolf Dogman thing that I seen.
Gotcha.
And I've seen more than one. And I've seen different sizes. And I've seen different colors. Mainly jet black. And I mean like a really dark black, jet black. And the other one kind of gray. Or brownish gray. Like maybe it was an auburn, but then turned gray. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you ever get a feeling like, well, to me, it sounds like this one area could definitely have Bigfoot and Dogman in the same area. Do you ever feel like there's any working together between them, or maybe any conflicts that arise? Or
Okay. Now, one night, I think they do to a certain extent, but I think that if the wolves, coyotes, any of that breed, okay, I feel like in my spirit, how I feel is that they can coexist, they get along, but it's when the werewolf or the coyote or whatever oversteps its boundary, then there's trouble. And I think that it's almost like reverting back to humans again. You got your good, your bad, and your ugly in their environments, just like you do ours, you know. That's what I've been told in my spirit, and that's what I have visually seen, you know, kind of like how people say mind speak. For me, I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel the vibrations, and I can feel the like the air, so to speak. Like, I don't know. Everybody calls it your gut feeling, but I think mine goes a little bit deeper than gut feeling. You see what I'm saying?
absolutely, because you mentioned last time that you feel you've always kind of had gifts in a way your entire life.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It comes from my dad.
Mm.
Comes from my dad's people and stuff, all on that side of my father's family. And I come from a really large family. There was 8 children. There's only 6 of us left, and there's only 2 of us that have that gift, so to speak. And I try not to talk about it or anything like that, but it's like you just always known, you know. Or when I would say something to my mom or dad, they said I was probably about 2 years old when I started saying things to them, and they'd say, "Oh, isn't that cute? Oh, she is so smart." You know how you do when your kids are little. But then they said stuff would come to pass, or I would say stuff that there was no way that I would know anything, like what I would know or anything. But it's been that way my whole life. And I don't know, a lot of people call it empath or whatever, but I'm kind of a loner. Just pretty much stay around family. I don't really, I don't know. Um, I don't know. I just know that I can pick up on them. And just like I told you about, uh, we were going down, I guess it's considered like a little country highway, a little 2-lane road, but it goes from like Charlestown, Indiana to Scottsburg, Indiana. And there's houses, and like you'll pass little gas stations and stuff like that. But then as you get further out on that road, there's like a house to the left, and it's all woods on the right, I do believe. Couple barns out that way, but I just know that this left house, every time we would go down that road, uh, I would say, ooh, there's something back there. Or maybe I feel like it's a Bigfoot or something, but I know something's back there. Well, the one day I said that, and then when we got past the wooded area, it opens up into this massive cornfield. Okay. And there's like hills on both sides. And then there's like a barn on top of this one hill. And I just felt like I could feel something was connected to this barn. And I said, ooh, I wonder if there's any caves back there. See, because like where I am originally from is Floyd County, Indiana. And so I've not lived, well, since about 2012, I have lived on this side of Clark County, Indiana. And I guess they call it Greater Clark. Anyway, further out, going on this side of the area out in the country. But I noticed, because my cousin has 10 acres from where they live up on like a hills, and it sits back in the woods and stuff. And then the other one sits further back in the woods, but it's on a curve. They're both on hills. And I know that I was having the Bigfoot experience on the 10 acres. But then when I went to the other property and the other house and stuff, that's when everything started getting hot and heavy. And what it is the creeks run through there. The one property is almost like has a moat going around it with the creeks and stuff. And there are like, I'm just going to put it out there like this. I have 2 different locations, and I have found burial mounds. Now, the one that's on a hill, you can tell that it is, but it was whoever was put there is with creek rock. And the other place is like mounds. But what it is it looks like somebody went in there and just dug like maybe they're not real deep. But what they did is pile dirt on top of it where it looks like a mound. And one's like 8 foot long, one's like 6 foot. And there's another one that's like 4 or 5 feet.
Why would it be 8 foot long, do you think?
I don't know. But the first thing that came to my heart, my mind was, oh my gosh, this is well, see, I found, I thought it was Bigfoot, but now I have second doubts about that. All of a sudden now, because they say Bigfoot does this, but I also feel like there's something else that does too. They put X's up, great big X's, and it was 2 trees that were not dead, that did not fall over like that, and that there was so much stuff that happened in those woods, and I think that whatever it is not good, because I've been growled at, and that's where I seen the it was like gray, and it did the spider crawl, and it was so fast, and there's definitely some bad stuff back there. I don't know what it was. I mean, I don't think it was Bigfoot like I did at the very beginning. I thought it was Bigfoot, and then I seen the red eyes on that too, and that one was really tall. It really, really was. And then I seen 2 more, and now this was along the creek, and there was water flowing, but it wasn't a whole lot of water. And that's where I was walking down through the creek bed, and I got up on like the little sandbar and stuff like that, and I was just, I like to collect rocks and, just stuff like that. And that's where I seen the tunnels were dug out under the ground, like on the side of the creek bed, but then there was sticks put out there. And then when I got up out of the creek bed, the further back I went, I found, like Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever, he or they will make a teepee type thing. Okay, well, this was like teepee type stuff, but this was only about 5 foot tall, and they weren't built around a tree. These structures look like that it was a teepee, but it was real long, at least 9-10 feet long, and they were just built lower to the ground, but they were perfect. And I mean, it was long, and there was 2 of them, and they were side by side.
What do you think it could be if it's not Sasquatch?
Well, it's either that werewolf thing, or what people call Dogman, and or I don't know. I don't know what it would be other than just something pure evil. And see, that I've tried to do research on this land and stuff, and this land is surrounded by the Ohio River, and it was considered, I guess, from like maybe 16, 17, 1800s, pirate land and stuff. It's got something to do with the property, with this land here in this town, and on the outskirts. I think there's a lot of cave systems, and just like on my cousin's property, they have natural springs and all that. So even if the creeks are dried up, they have natural springs. And one of the springs that we went to, they had it set up like they had like a little well thing around it, and where the water is just consistent always. And there was something that was bedding down, and whatever it was pretty massive.
How long would you say the bedding area would be?
Enough for 2 grown adults.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, 2 grown adults could have laid right in it. Yeah, every bit of it. Or like if I would have laid, see, I'm 5'8", so if I would have laid kind of on my side and just bent my knees a little bit, you still could have set a lounge chair and a little table right there in front of me. That's how much was bedded down. So it has to be 2 of something. And I've seen stuff jump from tree to tree too.
In this same area?
Has to be. Yeah. 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 Because, see, it's going down a hill. Like, it's real hilly out there. You got your flat, like where they used to grow tobacco and all that kind of stuff. And there's a creek down through there. And then you're kind of on a hill. But then it's not that steep of a hill. And as it goes down, it goes into, like, if it rains, it makes a creek through there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then there's a natural spring that runs all through that property. And there's constant deer. And I've been out back too, and the deer have ran right up to me, like within 50 feet, 40, 30 feet. I mean, close. And just stood there. And I just stood there. I didn't move, until the deer took off. And once it took off, then I turned around, looked it right back up to the house.
Is this current day that you're having these interactions that we're talking about right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you checked to see, have you done any research to see if other people are experiencing weird things in this area too that we're talking about?
Well, for my area, no, not really.
Okay.
I am, okay. The only other people that have witnessed anything no longer live around here, and one passed away. Yeah. And they were the ones that showed me pictures.
Got it. Are you still having mind speak in current day as well, do you believe?
Yes. 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 Especially if I'm out in the woods.
Okay.
If I'm out in the woods and they're around or anything, even if, pardon me, even if it's not like, even if I'm not having what, they call it mind speak. Like, people say, well, what do you mean? Are you a psychic? It's not like that. What I feel is I will feel, now this is if it's really bad, something bad, I will feel a heaviness and I will start shaking. And I will have to either get out of the area, just pretty much get out of the area. But other times, I think when it's not bad and not wanting to do anything, then I've had the, okay, like, let me see how I can describe it. When I was standing on the hill where I took the pictures with the circles, everything was fine. I mean, the birds was a chirping and this, that, and the other, and everything seemed, just like a bright sunny day. It was nice. And then all of a sudden, I was standing there, and I felt like I was being watched, and I felt a whoosh, like not a heavy wind, but a wind. And just everything seemed off. It seemed different. And that's usually a lot of times when that happens to me, whether it be good or bad, I try to take pictures. And like those, I didn't even realize that I even got those pictures until after I got back up to the house and started looking through them and stuff. Because sometimes it takes me a minute, or sometimes I have to just go lay down. I can't do anything, and I'll get this feeling, you better get out of here, get back up, get out of this area. I have those feelings, and I don't want to say that it's like your third eye opens or anything, because, I just feel like, I've had it too, to where I've seen visions. Like, I'll just, say we're all out camping and there's 5 or 6 of us, and we're around the campfire, or just, going swimming or having a good time for being out camping and stuff. And I can just sit down, or I can be doing something, and I'll get a flash of something, like out of my peripheral vision. Because sometimes I've been out there, and on my peripheral vision, it'll be like I see it, and then I'll look that way, and it's like it doesn't realize I see it, but I do. Like they try to hide.
What is it that you see?
But they don't. Like, what I've seen Bigfoot and everything. And then I know I'm all over the place, so let me back up a little bit.
Sure.
It just does that to me when I talk about all of the fresh stuff. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I want to get back to going down the highway there on that little back road. It's like a highway, and but it's out in the country, and it goes from one town to the next. And when we got to past the guardrail and all that stuff, or the wooded area, and it opened up that big field, we even stopped the car because I said, "What is that?" And because I was looking, and you couldn't really see its face at first. What it was doing, it was standing in the middle of this cornfield, and there was a big puddle, and that's the one I said that was not hairy like a Bigfoot. This thing had to be at least, I'm gonna say it was taller than 12 foot. And I was in the medical field, for over 30 something years, and I'm retired. And so I know body structure, I know all that stuff. And when I seen this, I was not by myself. And we stopped the car, and I got out of the car, was right there, at the door with the door open. There was not another car coming, and which just shocked me. And it was on a Sunday, so that could have been why too. And it was early, and I tried taking pictures. It would not let me take pictures or nothing. Nothing would work. But this thing, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would have never thought in all of my life, because I have done like a lot of research and stuff, and with archaeologists, and I'm talking about the Kandahar giant in Afghanistan, and the people that I have known, through, like, say, the medical field, or through a neighbor or whatever, because you have a lot of people that are here from other countries, okay, like Sudan, Somalia, Afghanistan, just Iraq, different places. You have a lot of people. And I've met those people, and I've talked to those people. And if you ask them, I've asked them about the giants, and they'll say, "Oh, how do you know about is what they'll say is, "How do you know of this?" I said, "Well, because I know that they exist." At least 4 of them have told me that they really aren't supposed to talk about them, and that they are very real over there in their country, and there's partings of their mountains and stuff that you don't go, because they do exist. But that's exactly what we seen. And it was a redhead. It had red hair, and its body was really pale, like a really pale white. And it was just massive. Well, anyway, I jumped back in the car, and we took off. you know, and that was the last I ever seen of it. But I'm telling you, I don't know if it was a Bigfoot that just went bald, lost all of its hair or what, but this thing it looked like a human man, like massive. Okay. You could see every muscle, and it was bending over and it was washing itself off. And this was like in November. And it was just a few years ago that we seen that. And I've never, ever in a million years would say that, would think it or anything like that if I had not seen it. You know, I can't really talk about things I haven't seen, but I can definitely talk about things I have seen and that I have witnessed with my own two eyes, knowing that I'm of sound mind and knowing that, you know, drug free. I don't drink, nothing. I mean, I don't know why I've seen what I've seen. Just like my cousin, she knows they're out there on her property and stuff. She said that she seen the black wolf, but when they seen it, it was on all fours, and that it looked like the biggest black wolf. They didn't even think there was wolves in our area, but they reckon there is, and this and that and the other. And she said, I know they're out there, and we've seen the black one. But other than that, she will not. She refuses to talk about any of it.
About the sighting of, if you're not sure if it was a giant or a Bigfoot, was it wearing any type of clothing?
No, it was butt naked. You could see everything. And it was a
Jeez.
male. And its hair, okay, like when you looked at it, its hair, it had, let me see, your forearm. It had a little bit of red hair on the forearm. You could see it sticking up. And it was because it was like around, you know, between, I'm going to say 10 and 11:30, somewhere around in there. And the sun was shining, beaming down on it. That's how that we knew it had beet red hair. I mean, just the reddest, it was an orange red. And it was so bright. And it did not have a whole lot of hair. It had hair on its head, and you could see the red, fire engine red, orangish, glaring off its arm, but not a whole lot. And it wasn't hanging down or nothing. This was a naked human being, but it was a lot whiter than white. Like, it looked really white and pale. And it just went on scooping water up with its hand and washing its arms and legs off. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
That's wild. In the southern Indiana, that is so crazy.
Yeah. And that was out off, I don't mind saying it, it was off Highway 3 out of Charlestown, Indiana, going from Charlestown, Indiana to Scottsburg. And it was right before you get to the bridge. And anybody that's listening that's from southern Indiana, and you're from that area, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Because if they go across that bridge, that's all you see is field on both sides. And then there's like a little pull off. It looked like it used to be some kind of like strawberry stand back in the day or something, but there's a pull off right there too. And we went around it and even stopped, you know, where I tried to zoom in on it and get pictures and stuff. And yeah, we got out of there pretty quick. And I'm like, it's not a laughing matter or anything. And that's kind of like a nervous laugh, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Yeah.
like, I can't believe I'm talking about it because it's something that we just haven't talked about, you know, because of ridicule and stuff like that. But I'm to that point in my life, really. I don't really care if people don't believe me. Uh, my thing is that I do know there's some people that do a lot of research, like they go to the forestries and stuff like that. And I don't know what the name of the group is, but you said you knew one of them was Greg Yost.
Yeah, I've heard the name
He's
before.
out of
Yep.
yeah. Well, he goes to all those uh, the speaking stuff. You've probably met him at one time or another. I think he's been to Oregon. He's been all over. He's pretty, you know, well known. And I've talked to him a couple times, but only hit and miss because every time that I've ran into him, I've not ever been able to really sit and talk to him. And he told me to get a hold of him on Facebook, and I'm like, okay. So I went there for his page, but it's almost like there's so much for me to say and to try to gather all my senses about it and make sense of it. But I feel like it's like this. I could take people to where I've had experiences. Now, I don't know about my cousin's place because she pretty much likes her privacy, her and her husband. They don't like to be bothered and so forth and so on. But the other places that I've had experiences all the way up until like October, actually probably maybe into about November 5th. I can give those dates and say within that area because I've been here since like, well, I came here towards the end of October around Halloween, and then I had to go back out there for a little bit, and then I came back. So I'd say up till November 5th of this year of 2024. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just so happy I have somebody to talk to about it.
Absolutely. Candace, before we had started recording, you said there were things that you were afraid to talk about because you felt like you were kind of keeping yourself back in case something happened to the connection. And I had said that don't worry about that. I can take care of that. Were there any things that you felt like maybe you would want to talk about now then?
Uh, well, just kind of like what I'm talking about the giant,
Mm.
because it was not a Bigfoot or anything. And it's like, you know, you're not hallucinating. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what you see. And I don't know why I have the experiences that I do, but I do. And that's pretty much why I stay inside and stuff. But I feel like because I am a loner and stuff, I really don't know a whole lot of people, you know, since I've got retired and all that. Um, what happened is me and my daughter and my granddaughter went out to Harrison County, Indiana, and we went to this campground, and it's pretty well known. It's out in Palmyra, Indiana, and we went camping, and that was over the day before Father's Day, so back in June. And we were going to camp for 3 or 4 days there, and we set up and everything, and that's where it had gotten dark out, and we had fire going and all that stuff. It had gotten dark out, and I walked up to a shelter house that they had, and I felt something like waiting outside. Just put it that way, kind of like it almost gave you the heebie-jeebie vibes, like something was waiting outside. And okay, but anyway, it was already dark, and I had my flashlight and stuff with me, and so I come out the door, and I just ignore it, because a lot of times I have to try to ignore everything and just act like I don't feel it or I don't see it or whatever. I try to, so I'm not running everything. And anyway, I just felt like something was around me, but I couldn't see what it was, and it didn't feel like it was real big or anything. It felt like something. See, I'm 5'8", but it felt like something was about my waist level. And I kept taking my flashlight and shining it and flipping it back and forth. And I've got some really good, really bright flashlights. And I kept flipping it back and forth. And there was only like 2 or 3 other people in that whole campground. And my granddaughter had already went to sleep. And so it was just me and my daughter up and stuff. And I had my tent in the front, and they had their tent right behind me. And I'm going to say there's one other lady. She had 3 or 4 kids, and she was camping with them. And they were catty cornered from where we were at. So anything we were doing was not really going to affect them. And so when I got back from there, I told my daughter, I said, man, something feels weird. And she said, yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And I said, no, it does. It just seems like it's different. And she's like, yeah, I know. Like once it got dark, it changed. And I said, exactly. I said, I felt like something was all around me up there at the shelter house, because there's showers and bathrooms and stuff like that in there. And so she's like, yeah, well, it ain't nothing. And I said, nah, it ain't nothing. But I stayed sitting up, and she got in a tent with her daughter, and I stayed up, and I was stoking the fire, and just messing around and make sure all the food was put away because of coons and stuff like that. And around midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, you could hear like footprint or footfall, and you could hear tree limbs break and stuff. And then all of that stopped, and I was like, well, okay, I'm going to ignore it. And I'd already charged my phone and everything. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to hit record, and I'm going to see what I can get. And right when I did that, I'd put it, like on a tent, if you zip the window down, you could put stuff inside and then zip the window back up, because it's between the flap and the mesh on the tent.
Right.
It's kind of on the outside, but you still, if you got to get it, you can unzip it and it'll fall right out. Well, I did that. And so all of a sudden, from a distance, you could hear, wow, like kind of like a whoop, but more of like a wow, like that, with yelp or however. Anyway, you could hear that, and then it didn't do it for a while. So about 1:30, I'm gonna say it was between It was up between, I'm going to say, 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. I can't go past that because it was before 2 o'clock. And I thought, well, I'm just going to lay my head down and rest a little bit and turn my light out. But I still had another little light on so that I could still at least see, the bottom part of the tent and stuff where in my area where I was at laying down. And I thought I'm just going to rest a little bit because after I heard the yells and stuff like that, it just had me on edge. And I thought, well, I'm not going to sleep tonight. I'll just lay here, but I'll rest my eyes and relax and just try to, maybe I'll doze off. I don't know. Well, all of a sudden, it almost sounded like if there was 3 or 4 little kids outside playing, is what it sounded like. And they weren't saying anything, but they were running, and they was running really, really fast. And then I thought, well, maybe that's coons out there trying to rummage, see if they can find stuff. But I had absolutely no food. There was nothing they could get to. So I set up. And in this camping area, there were lights. They've got posts with lights on them throughout the camping area, but it's not blinding and it's not going to be right on somebody's camp. This one was maybe 2 or 3 camps up, but it still glared enough light that I could see the surrounding area. Well, my daughter, she didn't want how they got put your rain fly on. She didn't want it covering the whole top of hers, and her rain fly flew back on one side. And I kept whispering her name, and I say, "Are you awake over there?" And she never did answer me. Pardon me, it gets me choked up. She didn't answer me, and I was like, "What is that?" Well, I zipped down my window on my door of my tent, and I'm sitting there peeping out, trying to see what is going on, because I thought, why in the world would somebody be with their kids, letting their kids, or maybe that lady that's camping over there, maybe it's her and her kids. So I turned on my flashlight, and I want you to know, I shined it over there where they was at. That lady done had her kids in the car. Their tent was already pulled out of the ground. This woman did not put that tent down. She didn't do nothing. I never seen somebody leave so fast in all my life. And she just shoved that tent in that vehicle, in the truck or whatever. I mean, she was out of there. So she was gone. So right after she left, I was like, man. So I'm still looking out the window because, I mean, there really ain't a whole lot we could do. But you could hear something running. And then all of a sudden, it went from hearing it to seeing it. And I'm going to say they was about 3 to 4 feet tall, not no bigger than that. I'd say it's at least as tall as maybe a 4 or 5-year-old. And whatever they were fast. And not only did I witness it, but the next morning as daylight came, and once I seen that, I turned on like my lantern, my flashlight. I put a lantern outside on the picnic table. I got out of the tent, sat at the picnic table, and then I had an uneasiness come over me, and I dove back in the tent, and I'm like, hollering at my daughter. Now I've like gotten louder because I done been out of my tent, and I was like, "Did you see that?" Well, she still wasn't answering. And then finally, I tapped the side of the tent, and she's like, "Yes, yes." I didn't want to say anything. I'm scared to death. What was that? I said, "So you seen it?" She said, yes, Mom, I seen it. I seen it. She's like, what was it? And I said, I don't know what it was, but you go ahead and get some sleep, and I'm going to stay up. And I said, we'll leave at daylight. And that's exactly what we did. You know, and I mean, I paid to go camping and everything, so I didn't get reimbursed no money or nothing. We just packed up everything and we got out of there. And I have not been back there since. That was around Father's Day.
Of this year?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was in June of this year. Yeah. Everything that I've been telling you is been just from 2012 until present.
It's incredible. What do you think it was that was running around?
Little people. They look like little people. They look like little people. And I'll tell you this. See, here's something else that's real strange. Okay, because I have my grandkids with me. When I told you I heard the baby crying, I heard like it went, eh. It sounded like a man and woman talking, and it went from that into a baby crying. This was back in the woods. Then I had my grandkids with me, and we were at this really good-sized park, and we got down by the creek, but we crossed over it to the other side, and it was more wooded area along there. And when we got down through there, something growled, and then we heard like a baby cry. And my grandson, I mean, he was on the ends closest to the inside by the woods, and as soon as like we all three heard that, he jumped so high, and I got him away from there. And I told him, I said, did you all hear that? He's like, what was that? And I said, and my grandkids are 12 and 10, and I have told them, you ever hear things like that, stay away, go the other direction, get away. Because I remember you telling me that if I heard that, that means they was trying to get me lured. Right?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's usually what it means, is they're using some kind of sound that would lure you into the woods. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, see, where I lived from 2012 all the way to like 2021, where I seen the really just Bigfoot and the Dogman too, and had the very, very close encounters. I'm surprised that I'm still alive, but I also felt like, and that's one thing it's hard for me to really say, and you don't have to put it out there if you don't want. But I also feel like they didn't do nothing to me or kill me because they can't. You see what I'm saying? Like they can, but for some reason they are not allowed to attack me. Because I mean, I was that up close and personal, okay? They even there was 3 claw marks in this tree. And then there was 4 claw marks in 3 other trees around it. And yeah.
Do you think something is protecting you then, or?
I don't know. I do. Well, I mean, I feel like God's protecting me, but I feel like there's something else. There's something else that is protecting me. That, or they're just curious and they don't want to kill us unless, I guess, we're out by ourselves, and it would be some vengeful Dogman type thing, or or some like really PO Bigfoot or something. I mean, I just feel like those are things that we really don't know. But I have had them send me feelings and images in my mind and stuff like that of me to quit taking pictures, or that because I put it out there. Well, I love nature, and I love nature, and I love taking pictures of nature and stuff. And they pretty much said to me in my mind, well, if you see one of us in it, I'm to delete it, like do away with it.
And then they made, what were you saying, 6 or 7 of your phones stop working, like die completely?
No. Okay. The about 4 people that I know that are from other countries, they know about the giants. Okay. And they don't like talking about them at all. Now, but because I already knew about them, it intrigued them that I had this knowledge. Okay. So then they told me stuff. But now, the people that live down the road from where I'm at now, they live closer to the woods. And one of them was a really good friend of mine. And she's the one that brought me the pictures and showed me those footprints at the other people's doors, front door and back door. And these people have kids. Well, all of those people have moved. Okay. They moved away from there. But the lady, my friend, who come and showed me the pictures, she passed away. And she passed away, as a matter of fact, on October 31st of last year. And the other people moved away. See, I didn't really know any of them. I just knew her, and she's the one. But I met one or two of the women who said it scared them to death. And the one that lived the closest to the wooded area, where they made a dog park and stuff down there, she told me that she never seen anything other than those footprints, and that she gave them to my friend because my friend, when she showed them to her, because they were neighbors, and she said that when she showed them to her, she said, "Oh, I've got a friend that knows all about this stuff," and that's when she brought them to me. Because my friend, she was 68 years old, okay, and where I used to live, over by the wooded area and stuff, she was my neighbor at one time. And she had went back in the woods with me before, and I showed her where stuff was. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I believe you. Yeah, this is evidence." Like, yeah, here's proof. And also on one of the mounds that I found, the guy that was military and everything, he was military. And his dog was a beagle hound, and his dog went back there into those woods at that creek. And me and him was standing there talking, and I said, "You know what's back there?" He said, "No, what?" He said, "Yeah, right now my dog," like that. And I said, "Oh my God, we got to get your dog out of there." And then I started telling him. He said, "Well, show me what you're talking about." So we walked back in there, and he was hollering for his dog, and his dog came to him and stuff. And I showed him what I was talking about. And we bent over, and he moved some of that dirt. He got hair. There was white hair, and there was solid black hair. He said, "We got to get out of here now."
He dug into the burial mound? Oh, wow.
He just moved some of the dirt.
Okay.
These are not out in the open. These are in the woods, but they're not that far off the road either. These are in the woods. Like, as soon as we go in the woods, we ain't got to go very far. And it's like, it's where they buried some of their dead and stuff. Yeah. And now there's leaves and all that stuff. I've only been back in there one other time, and that was probably, well, I went to my friend that still lives over there. I went to go visit her, and we went on a walk, and I stepped into the woods and looked, and they're still there. The mounds are, but they're covered up with leaves and stuff like that.
Did anything happen to him after he did that?
No, I ain't never seen the guy again.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I didn't know him. I didn't know him from Adam. We just was talking, And there's like a bus stop for the kids to go to school and stuff. And this was early in the morning, and I was getting my grandkids off, getting them off to school.
Do you feel like things you're experiencing are becoming more and more frequent, or they're starting to get less frequent?
Okay, where I live at right now, there's nothing. Okay, but if I leave here and I go about a mile and a half one direction, or if I go about 8 or 9 miles another direction, like if I go out to my cousins, there'll be stuff happening like no time after I pull up there, like when I get out of the car and stuff like that. And if I stay outside, walk around or go out back or go up on the porch or anything, then stuff will happen. Now, if I go to the other place that's not that far from here, where I used to live, there's a big parking lot. I can park in it, or I can go to my friends, and all we got to do is just walk through the field, and boom, we're right there. And if I was to go there, yeah, it's it's crazy. But I will tell you this, yeah, stuff will happen. But now, I knew stuff was back in there, like in 2012. But then I never messed around with any of it or anything. I didn't go in the woods that much or nothing like that. And in 2017 is when everything really picked up hot and heavy. That's when it uh, I don't want to say it. That's when I seen it come out of the ground and stuff, and there was more than one.
The giant or a Bigfoot?
Well, at first I thought it was Bigfoot back in there, but then when I had my close encounter and stuff, I know that it was I don't know, it was something that could shapeshift to make itself look like a werewolf, like the Dogman pictures you see. I don't know if it's that, uh, but I know what I seen, and we've been growled at, and I've also heard it make sounds, or I heard something make sounds. Like way back in the woods, and also, like if a deer or I don't know how an injured rabbit would sound, but this sound like a hurt deer, like it was a hurt animal, and it was making like clicking sounds and other sounds. Like if you were out hunting, you would have followed that sound, or you'd have been like, that don't sound right, and got out of there like I did, because I was like, that just don't sound right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's something I'd be pretty aware of if I was to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, because see, I know there's honey bears and cougars and stuff like that. Uh, a friend of mine, her property backed up to the forestry and stuff, uh, out in Clark County, Indiana, and they had pictures of cougars and stuff. And you just don't have a lot of encounters. You don't hear like people coming forward talking about, cougar attacks, and I know there's like little honey bears, and then I think a few black bears they've spotted that made it from Kentucky is where they said they was coming from. I don't know if they had them tagged or what, but I know we have coyotes. I know we have wolves and stuff like that. And they'll even tell you, well, I don't know about the wolves. I've seen them. I know they're here, you know, and I don't know why they want to deny all these things when they know that there's truth in the matter.
It's the kind of thing that makes you wonder what's really out there and why people find it that they need to hide what's actually going out. What is actually going on in the woods? It does not make sense. Why not just put everything out there?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. I have grown up my whole life, and I'll be 58 soon, so 57 years. I have grown up camping, fishing, being out on the water. I love the water. I love the great outdoors. I love to go do all those things. But it just, to me, it seems like either stuff has ramped up and more stuff is being showing itself so that we know that it's there. The veil is thinning, which I know that's a fact. The veil is thinning. More things are letting itself be known. And, as far as like scripture goes, the scripture says men's hearts will fail them for the fear of the things they see that come upon the earth. And it's things that have always been here, but been in the shadows or behind that veil. And once it's lifted, it's going to be a bad situation. I feel like I pick up on a lot of other things. I just haven't seen them. It's like I can feel them, but I can kind of feel the direction, but I can't always see them. And I have seen, actually, I seen one cloak, and I'm talking about Sasquatch. And then there was another thing that I seen cloak, and it looked like Alien versus Predator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that movie. It looked like that the head was different. And It looked like it had on it. Yeah, the head was different. It had that body structure. Okay, the body structure was the same, but the head was different. And when I first seen it, it looked like it was gray. And then when I looked back, you couldn't see it, but you could see the outline. Like it looked like kind of like if you have some silver glitter, okay, or I know something that is even better example. Okay, how people used to get the silver tinsel and put it on their Christmas trees, that tinsel.
Yeah.
If you take some of the tinsel and you hold it out in the sunlight and let the wind blow on it, that's what it looked like. That sparkle, that glitter that you would get off a tinsel. And you could see the whole outline, and it looked like that. Like you could see through it. You knew it was there because you could see it, but it wasn't a solid form. It was like the whole outline of it. But when I first seen it, it looked like that, but the head was like completely different. Yeah, so.
Some really fascinating stuff. I mean, it's incredible the stuff that you have experienced over the years, Candace. Keep me informed about if stuff continues to happen in the future, for sure.
Well, I will. Like, I can email you. I'm trying not to, like, have to go back out there or go over to that wooded area or anything like that. I've been trying to stay away from all that kind of stuff. I don't want to bring nothing to me. I don't, if I was going with a big group of people, that would be totally different. But I will not do it by myself.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be
You know what I
smart.
mean?
Yep,
I would have to be with a group of people that had my back. you know,
absolutely.
that I mean, yeah, I would have their back and they would have mine because, to me, times have changed. It's gotten a lot more, you know, I think that more and more people are having sightings and having experiences than say 20 years ago.
I think so too. Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with because times and things have changed. Things are not what they once was. And as hard as it is for people to accept it, I feel so bad for all the people that don't believe. I feel sad for all the people that don't understand or have never, I'm not saying I want everybody to have experience. It's not meant for everybody to have an experience. But I'm saying for people that ridicule, make fun, and don't believe, they make fun of people that have, you better get ready. Because at least for the ones that have had experiences, maybe that's why we have the experiences, because we're the type of people that can handle it. Because, maybe somebody else that would have an experience, maybe they would have a heart attack and die. You see what I mean?
Yeah. No,
And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, I feel like people that have experiences are people that can handle it. Regardless, like it's taken me to get my head wrapped around it. To be like, okay.
No, it makes sense. And Candace, it's a pleasure to have you on the show again to share some more of what's been happening to you. And
yes, well, thank you.
Definitely keep in touch with if things continue to keep happening, which I think they probably will. But it was a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you for coming on the show, Candace.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. And if anybody would like to, I guess, touch base with me, they can always leave a comment. On
YouTube, yeah.
That's on. Yeah. Yeah,
Perfect.
they can leave like a comment. Because when I watch the videos and stuff, I go through and read all the comments.
Okay, very good.
Because I want to, I do that because I feel like a lot of people that don't speak out publicly, they'll leave stuff in comments, and some people put their experiences, and it's like, you're not alone, because you're not.
Absolutely. Thank you. You have a great rest of your day, and we will be in touch. All right. You have a good one.
Okay. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Here at Bigfoot Society, our goal is to provide a platform for those that have encountered Bigfoot to share their encounter in a safe and respected environment. But we need to hear your story. If you've experienced something that you just can't explain, please send me an email at bigfootsociety@gmail.com. Then we can start the conversation. And I know a lot of you have not shared your encounter at all. It's been 20 years, and it's time that you get this off your chest, and then you can get some well-deserved rest, because I know you haven't been sleeping. I understand what you're going through, and I appreciate every one of you listening.
Bigfoot Society podcast, hosted by our captain, Jeremiah Byron, where it's all Bigfoot all the time. Have you ever had the urge to do more, to be more? Now you can by joining Bigfoot Society on the Patreon. Get ad-free episodes and even member-only episodes. Take part in movie night and even live video chats. Interact behind the scenes with Jeremiah and other Patreon members like me, Slaya. The powerful podcast goes on, and you may contribute a verse in our Patreon community. Carpe diem. Seize the day, Bigfooters, and make your lives extraordinary.
Please take a minute to help out the show by subscribing on YouTube, making sure you hit the bell so you don't miss any notifications, and share the episode on YouTube with a friend. Also, if you're listening to us on a podcast, Thank you so much. Make sure that you're subscribed. Share the show with a friend. Really, it's all about sharing the show wherever you can. If you've had a Bigfoot encounter related to the following or know someone who has, please reach out to me at bigfootsociety@gmail.com or pass on my email. Here's the list.
These are all in Oregon, by the way. Oak Ridge, Dexter, Fall Creek, Deschutes National Forest area, Cultus Lake, Spirit Lake, Subtle Lake, McKenzie River area, Sweet Home area, the area west of Crater Lake, east of 230 West Diamond Lake Highway, and north of 62 Crater Lake Highway.
You can use email bigfootsociety@gmail.com. A special thank you to all the Bigfoot Society Patreon and YouTube channel members. It's your support that helps keep the show going, and I extremely appreciate it. If you want to join in the fun, you can join over at patreon.com/the Bigfoot Society. I'll see you there. And again, thanks for listening.